Okay, so right now, as I speak, PPBT is halting up. It is up 300% on the day. This is the fifth halt going up. It's at 1343. It just basically broke VWAP at $6 and went straight to 13. SNTI earlier this morning, that one went up over 600%. This is unbelievable. What an incredible start to the new month. So remember, yesterday in my recap or my game plan for the week ahead, I gave you a watch list. And the first stock on the watch list reluctantly was UMAC, UMAC. Guess what was the first stock I traded this morning? Straight off the watch list, UMAC. Let's look at my P&L for today. Currently sitting $11,312.94. Not a bad day. Could have been a little bit better. But you know what? Green is good. Starting the month in the green, 2 times the $5,000 daily goal and building a little bit of a cushion. So first trade of the day, let's get zoomed in here. So it was UMAC. And kind of as I predicted, UMAC, which closed strong on Friday, gapped up pre-market. So pre-market, it goes from $18 up to $23 a share. Nice move. Pulls back, and as I'm sitting down close to 7 a.m., I pull it up and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, all right, if it can break through, this pivot right here of 2263, I'm interested. So coming into 7 a.m., boom, breaks that level. I'm in, but with smaller size. And I'll tell you, I was a little timid. I was a little gun shy because I lost on it on Friday. This was my biggest loser on Friday, but it was my biggest winner on Wednesday. So I have sort of love-hate relationship with this stock right now. And anyway, so it ends up squeezing from 22.63 up to 23, up to 24, up to $25 a share. So I traded it with relatively small size, goes up about $3 a share. I lock up $5,537. Nice. I hit the daily goal. It's 7:05 a.m. My best days are when I hit the daily goal super early. So I felt really good about that. Like, this is good, hitting that goal. Now I'm in the driver's seat. I've got a cushion. Looking for the next trade. So after those trades on UMAC, and it, just to be very clear, on the 1-minute chart, it was a very straightforward trade. I took the break of this level right here. Boom. It was right there as it broke 22.65. So right there was where I got in, and then it just basically went straight up to $25 a share. So very simple trade, nothing complicated about it. The reason I had drawn that pivot was because I was looking at this pre-market level right here, which was this little sort of high there, and then this kind of came up to it, and then it was kind of at it right about there. So that's sort of where I was thinking, all right, 22.65, 22.68, and then I was like, what's the next level of resistance? Well, we look to the left and up, and we've basically got room to 23.50, and we instantly were up $1 a share. So was in the driver's seat really quickly on that trade. After that, next stock I traded after UMAC was, let me scroll up. So PPBT. So PPBT, which is currently halted up 300%. You know what? This is actually annoying because I'm red on this stock. I was green on it this morning. So first trade, I jump in it at 621, and that was down here. That was about 710 right here when it started squeezing up. So it starts squeezing up right here. It had news. I got a micro pullback right there. Goes up to 665, and I lock up about $1,000 on it. It's nothing huge, but green is good. I'm grateful for the profit. It dips down. It comes back up. Jackknife candle. All right, that's not what you like to see. But where I lost on it was actually right here. It doesn't seem like a lot, but I bought for the break of $6 right there. And because I had a cushion on the day, I bought 20,000 shares. So I'm in 20,000 shares for the break of $6, and look what happens. It goes from 6 and flushes down to 558. Now you might say, what about this blue line? Well, what about it is I drew it from this high to this high right here. And when we were breaking 6, I thought we were breaking this channel to the upside, and I was looking for a move up to 665. Did not happen. Sellers came in, it drops back down, and then at the open, it comes up here, and it breaks 6 a second time. But how do you trust it after catching such a big loss here? I was too scared to get back in here. Well, scared money doesn't make money, and it halts up. It opens higher, goes into a second halt, opens higher, goes into a third halt. You got to be kidding me, right? Why couldn't it have done that when I got in back here? That would have been awesome. Instead, it rejected. I lost on it, went red, gave back the profit I had, and then it makes this big move here. But you know what? I disciplined myself and said, I can't chase it. I can't buy it up here. It hasn't given me a proper pullback. So I'm thrilled to see it as strong as it is, that it's moved up. Well, actually, it looks like now it's halting back down. So what goes up goes back down. But I'm really so sort of two things. Number one, I'm grateful that I was able to hold the discipline not to give into FOMO and chase it. So that's a victory. Even if I don't have profit, what I win in is discipline. And then secondly, I'm just happy to see something go up 300% because that is awesome for sentiment. Even if I don't make money on that stock, it's good news for the rest of the day today. It's good news for the rest of the week. We're starting the week with some huge momentum. So I'm thrilled to see that. Okay, so that was PPBT. That was the second stock I traded, and I traded it as the day went on. Now, what was interesting about PPBT is that it's been easy to borrow all day long. So that was a little bit of like, usually easy to borrow stocks are tricky. Now, this is a biotech stock. So that was the catalyst there. Remember, if you watched my episode on Saturday, I talked about some of the catalysts that have given us the biggest moves. And I also talked about some of the types of stocks that have given us the biggest moves. Both PPBT and SNTI are biotech stocks. So both of them fall into that sector. And SNTI is also with a private placement catalyst. Well, they have the private placement catalyst because it also has good news of, I think it was clinical trials. So a final trial. We'll let the news load in just a second so we can see it. So that was SNTI. So by having a profile of knowing the type of stocks I had made the most money on in November, I knew what to get focused in on this morning. But both SNTI and PPBT were easy to borrow, which is a bit unusual. So in the case of SNTI, the fact that it was easy to borrow is what led to it squeezing up as much as it did, because no one expected that. Certainly not shorts. So they had some good news, and then they have the private placement equity financing. So they've got that catalyst as well, which has been really strong. What that tells us is that an institution likes the company enough to give them $37 million. So that's a real vote of confidence there. So on my first trade on SNTI, I broke the ice at about 7:30 in the morning, and it was back here as it pulled away. And I got in right here. This was my first trade, that breakout right there. That's a breakout trade. It goes from 350, 360, all the way up here to 418. It pulls back. It comes back up to about 450. And then here we are able to sort of connect these two resistance lines. It pulls back, pops up, pulls back, pops up. And this one was interesting because throughout the day, we would have these big pops on pretty high volume, and then it would retrace. It wasn't like pop, small pullback, and then keep going. It was more like pop, dropping quite a bit back down, and then slowly coming back up. So that was a little harder to time. Right here, we also had a false breakout at 6, as you can see. It broke it, sold off, then came back up through 6, goes up to 7, right into the open, boom. Goes up to 750, drops down, doesn't break to the downside, squeezes through 750, and right here at 750, there was like a 65,000 share seller. And as it came up to that level, I got in right there at about 745. That was my best trade of the day by far. So I'm in this at $7.45, and this thing rips straight to 850, up to 9, pulls back for a second, notice, comes right to the top of this trend line. Almost to the penny. Pulls back, comes back up, then breaks through that trend line and goes all the way up to a high of about 13. Halts up, first halt of the day. It opens, this was interesting, it opens lower, it dips down. I bought the dip at 1150 and then it rips up to 14. Wow. Okay, so then it hits a high up here, pulls back, and then goes higher. And I kind of was like, all right, it's getting too extended for me now. So, and currently this is where we're sitting with a little bit of a trigger at 1550. So, if it holds up here, we may still get more action out of it, but it's starting to get a little later in the morning. It's a little bit past 11 a.m. now. And I think the easiest trades are probably behind us. And, to be honest, today was kind of choppy for me because I had that one big loss on PPBT, and I also had a loss on SPAI. SPAI, and on SINT, where was it? On the 1 minute chart, on this little fake out, I gave back 1,500. So I gave back 1,500 on that drop, which had me right here on the day. I was up 12,000. Well, actually, it was right before that. And then I lost on that, and I was up 10,000. And then I had this trade on SPAI. SPAI comes out with breaking news. It's a former Momo stock near blue sky. I jump in at 565 for the squeeze higher, and it tanks, and I lose $3,000. So now I'm up 7,000 on the day. I'm like, oh boy, okay, I'm moving in the wrong direction. That's my one loss on SPAI. And then after that, I took the trade on PPBT and lost 3,500 on it. Or no, I lost almost 5,000 on it because I was green on it and then went to red. So that was right there. And so I actually went from, well, 0 on the day all the way up to about $12,000 of profit, then back to 10, back to 7, back to about 2,700. And I was like, this is not good. I've given back more than half my day. Should I just walk away here? You know, preserve a small green day. It's better than going red. And then as SNTI came up to that 750 level, I was like, man, this looks good. I'm going to go ahead and take the trade. The only problem with it was I only bought 3,000 shares. I only bought 3,000 shares. Why? Well, I had to be on the defense because I had just given back 70% of my profit on the day. So on that trade, I immediately made like $4,500 and I was back to up 7,000. So now I've got a little bit of a cushion. And then as it squeezed up here, I got myself back to up 12,000. And then after I peaked up there again at 12,000, I did have another loss. I can't remember exactly where it was, but had another little loss and then made it back. And at that point, I was like, all right, you know what? I think this is probably the place to call it. So today was not the cleanest day. Even though it started really strong, I had this kind of period between like 9 and 9:20 where I had 3 losing trades in a row and gave back a lot more profit than I was expecting. And unfortunately, that put me a bit on the defense. So when things did start to open up again, I didn't capitalize on them as well as I could have. What was the issue? Where did things go wrong? Well, that loss, the 1,500 off the top on SINT, that happens. The trade on SPAI, I had mentioned it in the game plan from yesterday because it's a former Momo stock and it had news and it's near blue sky high. So to me, it made sense. Didn't work. Cut the loss quick. And then that trade on PPBT, that was probably the worst trade of the day, if I'm going to be honest. The reason that was the worst trade was because I think in that moment I was feeling frustrated. I had just taken 2 decent losses, and then this thing starts to curl up, and I kind of was like, screw it. You know, I'm going in with big size on this. 20,000 shares was too much size, considering I had just lost on SPAI and SNTI. So I was taking too much risk there. And yeah, I mean, if it had squeezed up, obviously I would have been rewarded for that, but it did not. And it's easy to borrow, so it's a little choppy. And so I took the loss. So that was probably the worst trade of the day, not just in dollar size. It's also the worst in dollar size, but it was the worst from just poor judgment in that moment. But this also highlights the very real challenge that we all face every day where, you know, if you're taking dozens of trades a day, you could have one slip up of poor judgment and that can cost you, you know, your morning of profit. So it's like we constantly have to be sort of on our game in our ability to evaluate risk and reward and be mindful of our current state of mind. Like, are you in a state of mind right now where you can be calm, cool, collected, or are you emotionally hijacked? And I was starting to get frustrated there, especially after kind of in those moments, remembering, wait a second, wasn't I also red on Friday? And wasn't I green on Friday by like $4,000 before I went red? And I started to feel like, wow, I'm doing this again. And that kind of got me even more annoyed. Anyways, so nonetheless, this ends up, squeezing up. That's great. I did not chase it. And Yeah, those final trades on SNTI made sense. I'm okay with those trades, but it is pulling back now. So, at this point, it's 11 a.m. I already had a couple close calls today. I don't think it's worth pushing it any further. $11,300 is a pretty solid day. So I'm going to take the profit off the table, and I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. Now, those of you guys who haven't already checked out our sales, our Black Friday sales are coming to an end. Today is Cyber Monday. All right, so come on over to Warrior Trading, check out our Black Friday sales while they are still running because they will be ending soon. You can check out the discounts we've got on becoming a Warrior Starter or a Warrior Pro member. My guess is for those of you guys that tune in and watch pretty much every day here on YouTube, if you haven't signed up yet, it's probably for one of two reasons. The first reason is you haven't really maybe done a trial yet and gotten into the community, gotten a sense of like what it's really like, so you're not sure if it's worth it. And then the second is you know that it's worth it. You've done a trial and you just can't afford it yet. And I get it. If it's not the right price for you right now, if it doesn't fit within your budget, it's okay. I understand. We will be here. We're not going anywhere. Yes, these sales are for a limited time, but I will be here. But for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube and have not done a trial, have not actually checked out what it's like kind of behind the curtain, actually when you're a member of Warrior Trading, using the software, listening to my broadcasts, and going through the classes, I would encourage you to check out the Warrior Pro Special because it includes a 7-day money-back guarantee. So you have the next 7 days to really try it out and see if it's a good fit for you, see if you like it. And we offer this because we can. Look, if we had a crappy platform that didn't work and we didn't have good classes, we'd have people that would sign up and then everyone would just ask for a refund. We give you 7 days because we want you to give it a try. Tell us what you think. I believe that you're going to love it. And I know based on, we do this because we can, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. The reason other people don't do this is because they know once you join their program, you're going to realize, uh-oh, I've made a mistake. And we're not like that. We believe that you should be thrilled to be a member. So we want you to be really happy and we believe you'll have a great time. So go ahead, give it a shot, try it out for the next 7 days. You can trade side by side with me in the chat room and really get a feel for this community. Okay, so with that, I will thank you guys as always for tuning into this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll remind you that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so please manage your risk, take it slow, and I will see you guys back here. I'll be streaming bright and early tomorrow morning for our members at Warrior Trading, and I am looking forward to seeing the gap scanner because we have definitely gotten some great action today, so this is a great way to start the new month. All right, I'll see you guys first thing tomorrow morning.